Hello again, Bernie Miklasz back with you. Coming up on 6 o'clock Central Time on this Friday night. I promised a Cardinals video today, a little later than I thought. But here's what I look. Here's the way I look at it. This one will kind of get you through the weekend, so you watch it when you have a chance to watch it. Right? It's kind of timeless. Well, maybe it would change if the Cardinals would trade Nolan Arenado. Some of the equations that I'm going to talk about would have to be adjusted. But as I record this, he's still a Cardinal, and I don't hear of anything imminent, right? So welcome to the Bernie Miklasz Show, and thank you for your support. It's interesting. Before I start, I've been trying to do some different things, and I got to say, when I do some blues videos, the response is good. It takes a little while for the audience to build, but it comes, and I appreciate that very, very much. I've had mixed results with Mizzou. Definitely college football season. Actually, Mizzou fans, came around with really strong numbers, which I appreciated. Basketball, not so much, but it's up to me to try to win it, to kind of build an audience. I did that thing on just celebrating what I thought was a monumental team in St. Louis sports history, the 1999 Rams, and their Super Bowl anniversary. And not many people watched it. So it's interesting doing this YouTube channel. Yeah, and by the way, that's just it's weird to me. Like what one of you said in that, underneath the greatest show on turf 25th year anniversary, that a wonderful team with wonderful players and coaches, just said, "Oh, I love the team, but I'm not going to watch the video because you're mad at Kroenke and the Chiefs owner and the league because of what happened when they, 15, 16 years later, when the Rams moved to St. Louis." I have no idea what that has to do with the 1999 Rams and what they did for the city and how happy they made sports fans here and how incredibly huge that was, given the fact that St. Louis NFL teams to that point had never even won an NFL postseason game that counted. So I'm not sure why someone would withhold celebrating a wonderful thing for St. Louis sports because of I don't know. Again, I'm so confused. The players and the coaches of the Rams in '99, they had nothing to do with the team moving. Okay, they didn't. Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt and Kurt Warner didn't sneak the Rams out of town. Georgia Frontier owned the Rams at that time. It wasn't Stan Kroenke. He was a minority partner. And when he signed on as a minority partner, I feel comfortable in saying he was a different man and it was a different time. He kind of evolved into an evildoer, right? But again, what does that have to do with the 99 players and coaches? I don't even know why I bother. I really don't know why I even bother trying to talk NFL in this town and on this channel. It's just a thankless task. Anyway, let's talk to the Cardinals because the one thing I know is that if I talk Cardinals baseball, people are interested, even if they're mad at the team. They're still interested in some perspective and some information on the team. So I'll quit squawking and being a diaper baby. I'll quit my whining now, and we'll turn to the Cardinals on this Friday night. All right, how do they improve an offense that was really bad last year? And it's really, except for 2022, it's been down, has not been good. Most of the recent seasons finished, 10th or worse in runs scored in the National League. So how do they get better? And one answer is not, well, you got to go out and sign a free agent. Go get Pete Alonso or something like that. No, we know they're not going to do that this year, this offseason, because it's a reset season. Except that it's not. Anyway, so that's not really an answer. Firing the manager for 2025 might be your answer, but that's not going to happen. He'll manage at least through 2025. So what do they have? What can they do with the players that they have to get better in 2025? So I have some thoughts, and I did some work on it. I'm not just winging it. You know me. I like to research my stuff. Maybe to the point of boredom, but maybe it's a way I entertain myself, right? First thing is an obvious thing. They got to do a hell of a lot better job with hitting with runners in scoring position. They hit 229 last year. It's their worst batting average with runners in scoring position by a Cardinals team during the expansion era, 1961 through 24. And it actually goes way, 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 way back into like 1912 or 13 or something. The Cardinals drove in 434 runs when they had runners in scoring position all season, which was 26th in the majors, and it was the lowest total ever by a St. Louis team in the 29 seasons that Bill DeWitt Jr. has owned the team. The 434 runs batted in with runners in scoring position. That was a record low for the Cardinals during the DeWitt era, 29 seasons. So how important is doing well with runners in scoring position? Well, we know that it is, but I'm going to give you an example that is close to home. The 2013 Cardinals had a heck of a team, and they won the National League pennant, and they got to the World Series, and then they stopped hitting, basically. But that season, I'll never forget it because it was a pretty memorable thing. And I was charting that all season. Mike Matheny would get mad whenever anybody in the media brought it up. Can you really continue to bat 330 with runners in scoring position? And he said, yeah, we can. And he got mad the fact that we doubted it. And he was right up until the World Series, which is when they stopped. So that team was really unusual in that sense because it just doesn't happen where you can hit 330 with runners in scoring position for an entire season. In fact, I went back to at least 2001 in the search engine I have at Fangraphs. That's as far back as I could go. And since 2001, that 330 batting average by the Cardinals and runners scoring position in 2013 was the best in baseball over, 2001 through 2024? That was the best batting average over that quarter of a century. That's how great that was. But to put it in context, this is another stat about that. That season, during a regular season, the Cardinals drove in all those runs. They drove in a tremendous amount of runs with runners in scoring position, obviously, when you hit 330. And 74.5% of the team's total RBI count came in those at-bats when they had runners in scoring position. That's really impressive. I mean, that you talk about coming through. So that enabled the 2013 Cardinals to rank third in the majors in runs scored, despite ranking 12th in slugging and 27th in home runs. But the RBI bank was all but empty over the final three games of that 2000 World Series. After taking a 2-1 series lead, the Cardinals lost 3 straight to the Red Sox, and they hit a lame 143 with runners in scoring position and scored only 4 runs in those 3 consecutive losses. But that 2013 offense had some issues. It wasn't like strong across the board, but they compensated for that and elevated the entire offense by coming through with such tremendous success all during the regular season with runners in scoring position. So the Cardinals are just going to have to take better at-bats. I don't know that it has that much to do with talent. It just means it's all about taking better at-bats under pressure. Don't watching called strikes. Don't sit there watching them. Hit strikes, punish strikes. Don't chase pitches. You know, I think the plate judgment is a lot to do with what happened last year, just my opinion. All right, number 2 on my list, how do you improve the offense? You got to have more production from the center field spot. In 2024, with Michael Ciani and Victor Scott getting most of the at-bats in the center field spot, the Cardinals had a 224 average, an on-base percentage, 279, 291 slugging percentage, ouch, from that center field position. Their center fielders ranked last in the majors in slugging, in OPS, in home runs, and in park and league adjusted runs created, otherwise known as WRC plus. Sounds like a soft drink, WRC plus. The Cardinals were using that metric, the Cardinals were 37% below. I think it was like 30. Yeah, I think it was 36 or 37% below league average offensively in production from center field last season. Can you imagine being that bad? They were that bad. Finally, they hit 4 home runs. Their center fielders combined hit 4 home runs all year. That was the fewest by a DeWitt era team in 29 seasons, his 29 seasons. And what the heck? Peter Borges, remember him? He wasn't much of a hitter. Even Peter Borges hit as many home runs by himself, 4 back in 2014. I mean, 4 home runs from the center field position. You say, well, the home runs aren't everything. Well, they're not. You're right. But it ain't going to get it when you're hitting 224 and you have a 291 slugging percentage either. The problem I think there's a problem going forward because, as I mentioned before, manager Oli Marmol is utterly obsessed with Siani's defense in center field. I get it to a point. Siani's very good out there, but at what cost to the offense? You know, you have a really, really bad offense. What cost to the offense? When playing in center field last season, Siani batted .232. He had a really bad on-base percentage, really bad slugging percentage, and he came in at 36% below average offensively. The Cardinals dropped hints already during the winter warm-up about Victor Scott, implying that he needs more developmental time at AAA. That's got some validity, considering the failure of their player development system, which did not have a full-time outfield instructor in the minors last year. And Scott's offense improved only after part-time instructor Ryan Ludwig came to the batting cage, watched him hit, and said, hey, you need to get a leg kick going. You got to get more power drive in your legs when you launch. And Scott did, and he started to hit down there, and he hit well late last season for the Cardinals. But no one on the coaching staff in Memphis ever thought about that. Thankfully, Ryan Ludwig just happened to be passing through and spotted something that Victor Scott should be doing differently. If they had a full-time minor league instructor, maybe that problem would have been corrected sooner. And once again, my friends, you wonder why the Cardinals are putting all this money into the player development system, minor league infrastructure. That's just another example. Jordan Walker's defense is another example on top of that. The solution, of course, in center field is to use Lars Nootbaar. And I know all about the injuries. Believe me, I know all about the injuries because I've talked about it, written about it, talked about it, written about it. But let me just say this, if I could. He's good grief. You know, he's been in the big leagues for 3.5 seasons now. He's played all 3 outfield spots. And he's gotten hurt in wherever you play him, basically. And you can't put the dude in bubble wrap and send him out there to play center field, right field, left field. You can't do that. I think it's against the rules. Maybe they could do it in a stealth way, put it under his shirt and pants. I don't know. I'm just kidding. You can't put Lars Nootbaar, you can't like give him head-to-toe football equipment to go play the outfield. Either he shows that he can be durable and he can play a lot of games, or he shows that he cannot be durable and he cannot play a lot of games. Isn't that what this so-called reset is supposed to be all about? Finding about Lars Nootbaar in center field, to me would seem to be a pretty important discovery, one way or the other, to help you move forward in your thinking. It's not like he's never played center field before. In fact, he's been in center field for 120 games in his career as Cardinal. And as a center fielder, he's got a really good 350 on base percentage, and slugging percentage is over 400, and he's about 12% above the league average. Is that dynamite? No, but it's a heck of a lot better than what they've been getting out of center field lately. His center field defense is average or slightly below average, but given that Nootbaar has generated offense in center field, listen carefully, his offense in center field is 47% better than Siani's, their respective major league careers. Well, why wouldn't you make that trade-off? I suppose a team that's a little slow on the uptake would decline to make that trade-off. So here we go again. I believe Scott will improve, and I hope that he gets a shot to take over in center field at some point in 2025, because that also fits into the reset. Right? Yep, right. Well, if the Cardinals were really doing a real reset in 2025, a lot of these things would be happening, but maybe they will over time. So far, that doesn't seem to be the case, but again, we'll wait and see. They're just trying to trick the fans and some naive media folks into thinking that this is really a reset at the major league level when it just doesn't check all the boxes. Sorry. So that's it. Center field's number 2. Let's go to number 3. We got to extend this because actually they need more production from the entire outfield. It isn't just center field. All right, I took a look at the outfield as a whole, all of them, every position last year. And the St. Louis outfield ranked 23rd in batting average, 18th in on-base percentage, 27th in slugging, 25th in OPS, hit the fewest home runs in the majors. Their entire outfield hit 18 home runs. I got that wrong. Let me back up. At least I caught it, so you don't have to correct me in the comments, right? They hit the fewest home runs in the majors. All of their outfielders combined with 38 home runs all season. Left field, center field, right field, and all who played in any of those spots. Think about that a moment, because 38 home runs from your entire outfield, full season. Heck, I looked it up out of curiosity just so I could be right about this. Jim Edmonds hit at least 39 home runs by himself in 3 different seasons. So Jim Edmonds by himself had more home runs than the entire 2024 Cardinals offense 3 different times in his career, 3 different seasons. Like to have fun with facts sometimes. In the full seasons of the Cardinals, the Cardinals have been owned by Bill DeWitt. They've gotten fewer than 38 homers only one time, and that was 36 back in 2014. Obviously, the Cardinals are going to need a lot more from Jordan Walker, and that's one area where the reset actually is true, because they say they're going to play him. Not going to panic when he gets into a slump. Not going to send him to Memphis. They're going to play him. So that this does qualify as a piece of the reset. And we welcome that, because they need to get him going in his career. He's got the potential to be outstanding. So they're going to need that from Walker. They're going to need Marmol to overcome his Siani fixation and try to get a more capable bat in center field. And the mix in left field has to do better. That said, Donovan and Nootbaar put up above average numbers in left field last season when they played there. Alec Burleson's production as a left fielder was like basically right at league average, nothing special, but at least average. He's probably worried about his defense out there, I'm guessing anyway. And center field can't continue to be a black hole in the St. Louis offense, period. Let's move on to the next one. How do they improve the offense in 2025? Well, the Cardinals, I think they'd do better in 2025 if the Cardinals actually had a designated hitter who can hit. And I'm not talking about a couple of the guys that were there, last season. I mean, there's only 2 people that were part of the DH rotation last season who were above average, the league average offensively. That was Wilson Contreras and that was Ivan Herrera. So they had to take 2 good hitting catchers behind the plate and kind of rotate them in also at DH. And both of those guys were well above average last season when they became the designated hitter, when they were used that way. Alec Burleson was league average, no better as a DH. Matt Carpenter, Lucan Baker, Brendan Donovan, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado produced a below average rate compared to what the league average is for designated hitters. For example, and it's a small sample, but Arenado and Goldie, when they were used at DH, they went 5 for 41, and they had a combined batting average of 122, did not drive in a single run as a DH in those 41 at-bats, and they struck out 32% of the time. Marmol's got to come up with a better plan. If Marmol is determined to use Pedro Bajes behind the plate a lot more than he goes with Herrera behind the plate, then I think Herrera's got to be in the DH rotation a lot more. On most of the days he's not catching. You can't put Herrera's bat, you can't put that swing, you can't put that ability to draw walks in the dugout sitting around watching. You have to use Ivan Herrera as a DH if you are convinced that Pedro Bajes is the second coming of Pudge Rodriguez or something, whatever it is that they're fixated on. Anyway, you have to use Burleson some at DH. Contreras will get some time at DH too. But what happens if Nolan Arenado remains at third base for the Cardinals in 2025? All of it, a part of it. Well, that means Nolan Gorman at second base. or you can keep Donovan at second base for the most part and put Gorman at DH against right-handed pitchers. I mean, they could use Donovan at DH, but what would be the point? Because he's a better second baseman than Gorman. He's a better left fielder than Burleson. If Arenado is still here, I see a situation where the Cardinals could use Gorman as a DH against right-handed pitchers and Walker or Herrera as the DH against left-handed pitchers. I mean, it's okay to occasionally. I know I know Walker needs a lot of reps in right field. I get it, but I think it's okay to occasionally just let him be the DH. It doesn't have to do that a lot. But if you're going to set up a platoon, the Cardinals, seems to me, if Arenado's back, the Cardinals have the makings of a DH platoon. That's all I'm trying to say. Marmol would have a chance to move a lot of people around to get favorable matchups, but all of this is predicated on Gorman and Walker improving dramatically and Herrera showing that he'll continue to hit at a high level. And if Marmol insists on playing Willie Mays in center field, I meant to say Michael Ciani, then there's a case to be made for Nootbaar getting more turns at DH as well. Because when you have Willie Mays in center field, you don't need that's right, it's Michael Ciani. You don't need Lars Nootbaar in center field, right? Not when you have the greatest center fielder in the history of baseball playing in center field. I'm sorry. The sarcasm's being a bit much. I apologize to you, dear viewer. It's Friday and I'm wound up. What do you want me to say? Of course, the Cardinals could sign a DH type bat, but why do we think they would actually spend money on that this offseason? In 2025, it looks like the Cardinals will once again have to be sorting through their collection. It's the collection of that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer cartoon, the island of misfit toys. They got all these misfit toys, and they're trying to put them together. And this has been going on. This is a John Mozeliak specialty, baby. This has just been going on way too long. I mean, I've been talking and writing about the island of misfit toys down at Busch Stadium for the longest time. And my gosh, there's someone coming in to take this thing over. And I hope he can put an end to this madness that just never seems to end. Always got the island of misfit toys. He never can put things all in place. It's just ridiculous. Oh my! But I can laugh at it at least. But Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He's not available for the lineup. But the misfit toys are. All right. Finally, on this catcher and first base, and we've sort of touched on it, but let's just expand on it a little bit before I go. By moving Contreras to first base, the Cardinals would boost their offense at the position. I say that based on how well Contreras has hit in his 2 seasons as the Cardinal, although some of you will insist that he hasn't hit that much or something. I don't know. I'm just kidding, but I have seen those comments. In 2 years as a Cardinal, among major league hitters that have at least among major league hitters that have at least 850 plate appearances, Contreras ranks 10th among right-handed batters with a supply of offense that's 33% above the league average. He's one of the best right-handed hitters in baseball. Among right-handed bats, he's also 6th in offense in on-base percentage the last 2 years. He's 11th in OPS over the last 2 years, and he's 18th in slugging. And that's an upgrade of where we've seen Paul Goldschmidt in his final 2 years, but especially 2024 as a Cardinal. Now, before you all start yapping at me about defense, and I agree, defense does matter, I'm just going to remind you that this is a look at the Cardinal offense and how to improve the offense and how it can get better. The key to Contreras at first base is, it gets him away from catching, to stay healthier and fresher and avoid injuries, to be able to rack up a lot more at bats. That's the plan. And B, maintaining those offensive standards offensively. One projection model, my friend, longtime friend Dan Zimborski, who does the Zips forecast at Fangraphs, he's got Contreras declining. Well, his model has Contreras declining offensively in 2025, and it was not a minor thing. I always love to look at the Zips forecast, but the difference between me and some in the media, some of the media just start hyperventilating over all this as if these forecasts are all going to be deadly accurate. I've learned enough through the years that as good as the job that Dan does, and that model is excellent, you can't assume that something's going to happen that the model says, hey, this probably is going to happen. Those models are wrong. Sometimes they're wrong in a way that's good for your team, and sometimes they're wrong in a way that's bad for your team. Because it also applies to when the Zips forecast is pumping up some guy. Oh, he's going to have a good, and everyone doing the blogs, everyone hyperventilating. Oh, he's going to have a great season, and it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, let's just wait and see how it plays out, because he's going to be playing first base. The forecast doesn't matter. He's their first baseman, Wilson Contreras, in 2025, right? And so with Contreras busy at first base, the Cardinals can benefit offensively by extensively utilizing Herrera at catcher. And I know I'm a broken record about this, same old song, but I can't stop talking about it because it's really important. Last season, among catchers that had at least 200 plate appearances, Herrera delivered the third best performance offensively behind Wilson Contreras and William Contreras. And this so-called reset season makes a lot of sense to give Herrera an opportunity to improving his throwing fundamentals, doesn't it? That's kind of what a reset's supposed to be. You try to give a young guy a chance to improve and work on his game. And he's only going to only be able to do that, by catching a lot. And I tell you what, though, if the Cardinals do not see Herrera as their full-time catcher, close to it, then they're going to have to come up for another plan for the 24-year-old. It's one thing to sit on the bench behind Yadier Molina. It's another thing to sit on the bench and watch while Pedro Pages is catching the big majority of the games. The DH spot is one outlet. I hate to say it, a trade would be an option as well, because the Cardinals do have some young catching either way coming on the way. I would much rather they give him a shot to be a catcher to see what they have instead of giving up on his defense prematurely, right? Again, it's their reset. So why don't they abide by what they're trying to sell us in terms of what this reset is supposed to be? Herrera behind the plate would actually represent a reset. Hey, this will be a big season for Oli Marmol. He's going to have to impress Chaim Bloom, the incoming president of baseball operations. Bloom takes over after the 2025 season. But listen, man, it ain't like the dude is going to, ignore what the Cardinals are doing at the big league level. It's not like it's going to be like, oh no, I can't go in the team's boxes upstairs and watch the game. No, I have to stay in hiding. Oh, I can't watch it on TV. Come on, let's not be silly. He's going to be in charge after 162 games next season, and he'll be on the clock as the new president of baseball operations. So you're damn right he's going to be watching everything the Cardinals do in 2025, because then that's going to give him a launching point to figure out what to do with the team and what's best. And that includes spending some money, because if you look at their payroll going forward, they'll be able to dump some payroll after this coming season, and the new guy, Bloom, will have a lot of dough to work with in 2026 as he gets ready for 2026. But he'll also have plenty of time to observe Oli Marmol at work in 2025. And I would think, it's just me maybe, I would think it'd be really important for Marmol to construct this lineup in a way that will generate more offense, because there are things a manager can do to help stimulate more offense in a team that is terrible offensively. He can't fix anything, but there are some things he can do to make it better. It starts with who you actually put in the lineup, right? Okay. Listen, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching the Bernie Miklasz Show. And we'll be back on Monday morning, unless there's some breaking news, Cardinals related, over the weekend. Major news, if there is. All right, take care. And again, have a good weekend, and thank you for your support.